Okay. Hello everyone and welcome to the Ultimate Marvel Recap, the only show on the internet where you can get all of your favorite comic books spoiled for you as we tell you exactly what happened and all of the important bits and juicy comic books that came out last week. That way you can go pick up all of this week's comic books and not feel completely lost. And don't worry, we totally put in a ton of bad jokes along with some fake advertising. Now let's go ahead and kick off this week's issues with Amazing Spider-Man number 24. In Amazing Spider-Man number 24, we are tying up the loose ends from Clone Conspiracy, because in case you forgot, there was an entire long event that happened with Spider-Man in which all of the dead individuals came back to life because they were being cloned, aka the Jackal returned. But we discovered that the Jackal was actually Ben Reilly, and Ben Reilly had come back after being a puppet for the Jackal to torture. Well, in this issue that ties up loose ends, we discover that even though we thought Ben Reilly and Otto Octavius and the Jackal had all died in the Clone Conspiracy, they in fact did not do that at all, proving once again that Clone Conspiracy had nothing substantial actually happen. And this issue, Ben Reilly decides to go off to his childhood home where he's going to go to a safe house and basically be like, hey, I'm actually alive and I'm going to continue carrying on my life as Ben Reilly. But that's when he discovers that Miles Warren, aka the Jackal, is not only alive and well, but he's actually in his old Jackal costume. The two individuals decide to battle it out over identity theft and who's actually going to be the Jackal, because identity theft is funny, isn't it?
Identity theft is not a joke.
Burn.
And it basically boils down to fists flying and the two individuals yelling at each other, no, you're the copycat. And that's how it all ends. The issue doesn't actually do anything with Peter Parker or Parker Industries or propel the main storyline, but it feels like it's an entire lead-in into that new book that's going to be coming out called Scarlet Spider.
Like any god featured in a Goya painting, Thanos has brutalized, murdered, and maimed all of his children. Well, all except for Thane, who is the last man standing and the subject of Thanos number 4. Which opens up on an epic battle between Thane allied with Maw against Corvus. This intense confrontation is laced with pieces of continuity from Infinity Wars about the Black Order. Regardless, it ends with Thane being taken prisoner by Corvus. While speaking to his cellmate Slatterus, Thane reveals his true intentions: to confront and murder Thanos.
Moving on to the next issue on our list, we have Captain America Steve Rogers number 12, because the Captain America books now have to be identified by the individual's true name, aka Sam Wilson and Captain America Steve Rogers. Those are the two books that currently exist. This one is Steve Rogers continuing his adventures of his journeys within the Hydra organization. This issue opens up by showing us what Captain America once was, a man who punches Nazis before joining the Nazis. And the issue was then spent with him working with Helmet. I always want to say Helmet, but that's not actually his name. We'll just go ahead and call him Barent Zemo, because Helmet, while that may be how it's pronounced, doesn't sound right to me. Anyway, he decides to convince him to join him on his journey to retake Hydra and start the beginnings of what is probably going to turn into the Secret Empire, except we now have 12 issues into the next event, probably. It's like a prequel thing. Can Marvel just stop giving me giant events? I would love that. Anyway, Maria Hill goes on an adventure with Taskmaster because Taskmaster has kind of figured out what's going on with Steve Rogers and the fact that he's not a hero, but he actually is a villain at this point. So they're working together to go on their own journey to try and figure out the secrets behind everything, since Steve Rogers kind of like took S.H.I.E.L.D. away from Maria Hill. But you know what they could be using? They could be using the new Stark Technologies Jarvis AI. Are you tired of Siri and Alexa and all of those annoying ones? No, you want to get yourself a Jarvis AI, and for the low price of $10 million, you can not only get the Jarvis AI, but it will come installed in your very own Iron Man armor. This one may turn into a car or a plane or have multiple weapons or turn into a bigger armor, or it might be like invincible in radioactivity, and it might come along with a companion, maybe a sidekick, maybe a younger version of yourself, and it also may have a secondary AI, which is also Tony Stark, just in case, you don't know what Jarvis is saying, or maybe you lose Jarvis, so you need to have a secondary AI. That Stark Industries, the greatest way to buy your Iron Man armor today. And I'm sure they make a lot of other stuff, because there's no way that he would make money selling those things.
Where do people go when they want to get away from their problems? Las Vegas, of course, and Elektra is no different. In Elektra number 1, we see her without actually seeing her. Seriously, it's like playing a game of Where's Waldo for assassins. In the end, we do finally catch up with Elektra serving cheesecake with a side of fist. We're also reintroduced to another villain named Arcade. I had to Google him to find out who he was.
And over in Champions Monsters Unleashed tie-in, the Champions are currently battling against the evil corporation known as Roxxon, which you may know from the Mighty Thor series. It's the generic evil corporation that Marvel's currently using because I think they ran out of all of the other ones. Anyway, the Champions are fighting against a group of super mercenary freelancers because the Champions are protesting the development of a oil pipeline going through a national forest, and of course the evil super mercenary freelancers are actually trying to get it built. But you know what? None of the oil pipeline situation matters because giant monsters crash land in the middle of it and the two teams must work together to defeat the monsters. My kind of superhero story.
Hulk number 3 brings us the backstory of Macy Brune, who winds up being kicked out of her complex by a sleazy landlord who brands the metahuman as nothing more than a crazy nut job. She eventually seeks out the help of Jen's own legal counsel. As we delve further into this issue, we discover that Macy's story of trauma actually coincides with Jen's own, as we see her recover from the trauma of losing Banner and overall Civil War II, which I'm pretty sure is something that we can all relate to. However, though Macy's trauma reflects Jen's, hers takes a much darker turn as we learn that she lashes out and inflicts harm in order to cope with her recent attempted murder.
Mother's Day comes early, and Reed Richards from what used to be the Ultimate Universe is still a dick. But the dialogue, the characterization, the true story of what happened between Doom and his mother is amazing. You know what else is amazing? The Stark Phone 8. With advanced features, including 3D facial recognition, consciousness mapping, you'll be able to keep your life in order. You back up your computer. Why not back up your brain? Stark Technologies. Stark Solutions. For body and soul.
Over in Spider-Gwen number 17, Kissing in a Tree number 4 continues the story of Miles and Gwen as they are jumping through dimensions looking for Miles' father. They return home to Miles' home dimension where they discover that the Silk agents have arrived and they are looking for various forms of batteries, special batteries, so that they can fully recreate Miles' interdimensional transponding jump through the wormhole watch that he's using to go between the different dimensions. Miles and Gwen then have to watch them get away only 20 feet away from them, and their plans to find out what's going on with the Scorpion and look for Miles' father are placed on hold as now they have to deal with these Silk agents trying to travel through the interdimensional gateway and do whatever the heck Silk agents are going to do. If you don't remember who the Silk agents are, they are the individuals that we discovered exist when all of the Spider-Woman characters went through the interdimensional gateway and discovered that Cindy Moon is an evil mastermind villain in a different dimension.
Tired of your spidey sense just bugging out on you? Oh, that was awful. Why did I say that? Tired of your spidey sense bugging out on you? Stark Industries has just released the Microbody Alert System. Microbody alerts you to the adrenaline and hormone levels of those around you so that you can learn who's a threat and who isn't. Does that even work? Does it even work like that? Worried about walking home alone at night, working in an abandoned laboratory, or even just the night shift at Osborne Industries? Well, worry no more. Microbody Alert System will alert you before it's too late. Carol Danvers' redemption attempts continue in Mighty Captain Marvel number 2. We open on Carol Danvers attempting to repair the flight station, which she feels is the only place that she can really call home after the horrific events of Civil War II. But before she can finish the job, her powers flood through her uncontrollably, re-damaging the space station. And man, you gotta feel bad for Carol, 'cause She kept damaging things over and over again in Civil War II, and she just can't seem to stop shooting herself in the foot. As she attempts to regain control of her powers, she goes back inside, where unfortunately a TV film crew, I believe hired by Bravo's own reality TV specialists, are there to catch her every move and then reinterpret it for the entertainment of the public. Eventually, Bean, the Kree child that she's taken under her care, alerts Danvers that there is somebody on board that shouldn't be, a shape-shifting bounty hunter who is there to take all of the Kree children.
And that concludes today's episode of the Ultimate Marvel Recap, covering all of the important stories that happened last week in your favorite comic books so that you can just jump right in tomorrow and go pick up all of your favorite comic books. I would like to once again thank my two co-hosts, Caitlin McAtee from That Sea Monster and Rob Jefferson from Comics Explained. And if you're wondering, there was quite a few other issues that came out this week. We're just gonna run down them really quickly for you. Things happened in these books, but it wasn't like earth-shattering, oh my god, it's so amazing, you need to know what's going on. And what we had in Marvel was Inhumans vs. X-Men number 5. The story is still not complete. This is still middle of the road, and trust me, it is still interesting. But hey, go pick up issue number 1 if you want to find out what's going on over there. We have Solo number 5. That's Solo, one of the guys that was on the Deadpool Mercenaries team. No one's really following that book. I don't know how much longer it's going to be around. So if you like the idea of Solo, go check out that book now. Prowler number 5, the only tie-in that was created for the Clone Conspiracy event, is probably going to be ending soon because Prowler was never interesting, and this book continues to show that. Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur number 16 continue the wild and crazy adventures of Lunala and a giant T-Rex. If you're not reading this and you like dinosaurs, then you're wrong. Enchanted Tiki Room number 5 is on my list, and I have no idea what that is or what it's about. If you are reading Inhumans vs. X-Men, then Extraordinary X-Men continues that storyline with the various tie-ins that explain what's going on with various members of the X-Men. But if you're not reading Inhumans vs. X-Men, this issue really doesn't matter for you. Ghost Rider number 4 continues the resurgence of Eli and his buddy Robbie Reyes, because they're super buds if you're following the comic. Not true at all. Eli hates Robbie and Robbie hates Eli, but they're forced to work together as a Ghost Rider. This continues the story arc in which they've arrived and have teamed up with the Totally Awesome Hulk and Laura Kinney, aka the current Wolverine, aka the former X-23, aka she's about to become a symbol because that's what everyone seems to be doing when they have too many names. Great Lakes Avengers number 5 came out, and that continues the storyline of a bunch of superheroes that we didn't know existed. Black Panther number 11 continues the story of Wakanda and T'Challa and how he needs to rule his nation underneath him, but as a benevolent ruler. Spider-Woman number 16 continues a story in which Spider-Woman needs to go rescue Porcupine, and in the end, she makes amends with Captain Marvel. And lastly, we have the Uncanny Avengers number 20, which is continuing the storyline in which Red Skull decided to take over the entire Uncanny Avengers team mentally, but Deadpool's the only individual that he can't take over because Deadpool can't be mind-wiped or mind-controlled or all kinds of crazy stuff like that. It's the most amazing Avengers story in a long time because the Avengers are losing to Red Skull, who has Professor Xavier's brain, so Deadpool's the only guy that can save him, but this is Deadpool. He's a wisecracking guy who does mercenary stuff and shoots people. How is he gonna save the Avengers? I don't know. You need to know. We need to be covering that issue. If you haven't been reading Uncanny Avengers, where Deadpool's currently the lead, you are wrong. Go read that book right now. And don't forget today, guys, today's sponsor was Stark Industries, where you can get your own Stark Phone 8, your own personal buddy alert system, and of course, your own personal AI Jarvis. Probably has a whole bunch of other things. I mean, this is Stark Industries. Yeah, we definitely sold out to Stark Industry, guys. Tony Stark pays the big bucks to get on YouTube. I'll see you next time right here